was About to Brawl, the MMA and boxing podcast from Manchester, England. This show is brought to you by the triple threat of Is, Den and Chutney. The podcast will focus on all things combat, including reviews, previews, opinions, and everything else in between. Is, how are you doing on this fine day?
I'm doing splendid, thank you. I've taken my happy pills today, and I'm sat here with a big smile on my face. If anyone wants to know how I'm feeling, you can Twitter me, tweet me, whatever it's called, at MMA Boxing _is IZ. Thank you. How are you then, by the way?
I'm okay, mate. I'm okay. I wasn't expecting you to ask me something, and I was like, oh. Chutney, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm alright, thanks, mate. Little break on the UFC. I've been, fuck.
Sorry, that was me. I've just stuck my fingers up at Chutney, and I've totally thrown him off, but I'm still in a happy mood, guys.
I'll keep going.
Keep going,
little
mate.
break from the UFC. Concentrate a bit more on boxing, a bit more Mayweather and McGregor. Enjoying it all. Cheers, Dan.
No problem. Well, ladies, gentlemen, listeners, everyone on the show, it's the biggest moment of the summer. It's the show that everyone has been waiting for. And I don't mean the recording of the new podcast for those about to brawl. I mean the fight that's happening, the showcase of Immortals at the end of August. MayMac. It's actually happening, gents. Tell me, we've got to this point now. What do you think, before we start talking about the actual fight, what do you feel about the lead up to the show? Have you been impressed?
I've been impressed with the lead up, but that's what it was always promising. I just want to correct you there if I may, then, because in my view, Triple G versus Canelo is the fight of the year, but that's the boxing fans' fight of the year. But me sat in work, I've got strangers coming up to me saying, here's what you think of Mayweather McGregor, and I obviously tell them they need to tune into the podcast and hear me absolutely slating it. But once again, back to the point, the build-up's been fantastic. This last week, Mayweather and McGregor haven't even had to say anything. It's been pictures and other people, so to speak, that I'm sure we're going to speak about.
Chutney, can you believe we've come to this point? The fight's actually happening.
It doesn't seem real, really, does it? And everything that you see about it, workouts, I think, inferring the Paulie situation there. Everything is surreal. Everything's surreal. From day one until now. And I imagine, well, let's hope not at the fight, frankly.
Big praise has got to go to Conor, hasn't it? The amount of work he's put in to get to this point, to be able to... Who would have thought a year ago that he'd be fighting, bringing Floyd Mayweather out of retirement?
Well, it's whether it was in his crystal ball or not.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that would come as a surprise to him as well.
Mystic Mac.
But the praise has to go to him that, end of the day, he's going to get paid. And whether he wins or loses, everyone expects him to lose.
Yep.
I mean, I expect him to lose. I expect it to be a Mayweather masterclass, and I expect him to lose. But whether he wins or loses, he's got nothing. It's not going to go against him. He's got nothing to lose. It's all Mayweather.
Yep.
Mayweather's got everything to lose.
So on that, talking about losing, in this hypothetical world, Chutney, if Floyd was to lose, is that the end of boxing?
The end of boxing? No chance. There were legends before Floyd Mayweather. There'll be legends afterwards.
How much of a disaster for boxing would it be if he lost?
It's not a disaster for boxing because most of boxing thinks this is a massive joke anyway.
But if Floyd knocks him out, takes his head clean off round 3.
If Conor does. If Conor
If Conor takes him out round 3, shake the world of boxing.
Excuses are easy. Didn't prepare for it properly because he thought it was a circus. He's old. He's not fought for 3 years. I don't think it'll be that much of a problem.
What do you think is?
First and foremost, none of this nonsense. McGregor's not beating Floyd Mayweather.
That as well.
That's the bottom line. I think that the biggest loser if McGregor in this fantasy wins is UFC, because then he gets the taste for it.
Yep.
He's fighting Mayweather for
100 mil, is
the
it?
biggest payday, but there's no title on the line.
Yep.
So then he goes hunting. But this is all a fantasy.
Of course it is.
And you need to stop right now because Chico Corrales.
We know you like your fantasies.
Chico Corrales, Castillo. Maybe some people say Castillo first fight wasn't on, second fight. Gatti, Judah, De La Hoya, Hatton, Manuel Marquez, Mosley, Cotto, Canelo, Maidana twice, Pacquiao, Berto. all of them would beat Conor McGregor, and Mayweather dealt with him. He dealt with him, and that's not even throwing in Ortiz in that gimmick fight with ease. You know, it's not throwing in other fighters that he's just absolutely, you know, thrown about.
So I think you're right. I'm devil's advocate. I think everyone, 99% of the populace, sensible. Sensible sort of fight watching the population know that it's going to be probably a one-sided victory.
But maybe thank God for the idiots.
Yeah.
It means we have to have this conversation, which is still an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
We love you, fans.
Yeah. Sorry, what did I say? I've been following the odds. From day one I've been following the odds. I thought, I'll do a Floyd Mayweather. I'll bet on a cert, put a load of money on it, i.e. him. I was thinking decision.
Yeah.
I didn't see him knocking him out. It's been about around 4-1 from the start for a Mayweather decision, and it's not been good enough for me.
No.
And then you look at the other side on McGregor.
Yep.
And his odds aren't great.
I know, they've come in a lot
all
as well.
All these fanboys are betting on him. But I'm hoping to take advantage of that last minute, see how it goes, maybe put 100 quid on that decision. Although, and I'm going to go to Paulie if I may, that hour-long interview he did on the MMA Hour, shout out to Ariel.
Yeah.
He might have been a bit misguided or misleading us about whether or not it's a knockdown or what happened in that sparring session. But the rest of it rang true. He was out of shape. He admitted it. I mean, people are talking, he's out of shape. Yeah, poorly. But he said it himself. But he felt himself getting sharper, muscle memory coming back. And I have no doubt that was true.
Yep. And
a world championship boxer out of shape is still in pretty good shape, you know. Yep. And having heard what he said, how he made Conor work, and I bet he did make him work, and I bet he knew so much more than Conor.
Yep.
I mean, I don't think that's a surprise to anyone.
Yep.
It made me think that Mayweather's going to finish him.
Yep.
Within 8.
Wow. Before we get my prediction on the fight, because I think he's just made his views pretty clear.
Yeah, man.
Aren't you all just looking to the fantasy world of Mystic Mac coming out, the clothes he's going to wear, the music he's going to come out to, the boxing crowd thinking, what the hell is going on? Do you not look forward to the spectacle of it all?
And that's always been the thing. It's not just Mayweather's spectacle, McGregor's spectacle, but Mayweather as well.
Yep.
You know, he always puts a show on. He has 50 Cent, Lil Wayne, whoever, you know, Bieber or Triple H, the wrestler, you know, leading him out. You know, so he'll have a circus lead him in. He'll have dressed as a Roman, so he'll put a show on as well. But that's what it is. It's the spectacle. So that will be exciting, but it's just it upsets me. You know, that there's so many boxers that you know that could have fought Mayweather for his 50th fight. He could have gone up and took a challenge in Canelo again.
Yeah.
Maybe Triple G. Yeah. You know, but he's fighting McGregor, the top without a shadow of a doubt, the top UFC guy.
Yep.
The Mr. Pay-Per-View on UFC. But he's fighting him in a boxing ring. Usain Bolt's retired now. When he's 50, he's still going to beat me in a race, isn't he? You know what I mean? I'm not saying I'm fast or anything.
not like one of your brothers.
Oh yeah, shout out to Ted now. What is it? 11 seconds?
100 meters, 11 seconds.
Wow. Now?
Never. That's what he said. So, Johnny, you're saying finishing within 6 rounds? You say?
I said 8.
8.
I'd take 6.
Well, yeah. News just in now, lads. The 8-ounce gloves have been agreed.
Wow.
It's just come in now. The Nevada State Commission are meeting at the moment.
Yep.
They've already
not
signed.
Definite.
No, it's just this is news coming in live on the internet.
They've just buzzed Israel now.
They've just got me on the dog and bone.
They
asked me my opinion. I said give him 8 ounces. Give him 4, but they said no, we'll stick with 8. And Robert Bird's been assigned the referee as well. So he's you know, he's been in there for the Mayweather Guerrero fight, I want to say.
Knowledge.
He's there for Andre Ward v Kovalev in their first bout, and I think he's done Cotto versus Canelo as well.
So does that make any difference? Is he going to finish him faster, or is Conor going to be a chance to clip in them with the smaller gloves?
Well, Conor said in 2. If it's 8-ounce gloves, the smaller gloves, it's going to be in 2. But I think he's trippy. He's not even going to land 2 punches. So what's he talking about? You know, back to the betting that we were talking about. I got in early on Conor McGregor landing less than 25 punches.
Nice.
And the odds were, I can't remember what the odds were, but I got decent. But tried looking them up now, and the odds have significantly gone in the bookies' favour and no longer in ours.
I think if you put your head on it, you think if boxers like Canelo, who punch like dump trucks, can't get hold of him over 12 rounds, that's the worrying part, isn't it?
And that is it.
Yeah.
Canelo's the perfect example.
I do agree. I think the fight will go similar to the way Hatton went 10 years ago. I think the anniversary is coming up for that fight. He'll try and rough him up, won't get anywhere, and eventually Floyd will just pick him apart, finish him within 8 rounds.
Have we got a referee?
Yeah, this was just saying. That's what's the fella's name? Sorry,
Robert Baird.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Will he let him rough him up? The good thing about a referee is you only hear if they make mistakes and bad things. Yep. You only heard of Joe Cortez because he wouldn't let Ricky Hatton get a bit tough with Mayweather, and it was like he was in Mayweather's corner. You only heard of Kenny Bayless because he was a little bit letting things go in boxers' favours. You've not really heard of Robert Baird because he normally lets a good fight go, so to speak. So that's good, but it's funny, innit? Because Joe Cortez is in Mayweather's corner at the moment, and I keep saying Mayweather, don't I? It's McGregor's corner. And I heard a quote from Dave Chappelle, and it's the best one that summed it all up. He was presenting some radio show, and he basically said, while Mayweather's probably in his gym right now, training, McGregor is learning how to box, and it sums it all up. Yeah. He's got a referee in there to teach him what he can and can't get away with. Mayweather's been doing it for 20 years. Hard work, dedication. That's the levels we're at.
It's going to be great though. If Conor knocks him out, it's going to be great. Can we all agree that the Malignaggi hit was a knockdown, or not?
Not enough video footage for me. We might see it after the fight when they might try and build up a Malignaggi McGregor fight. Win or lose, it's probably on the cards. The amount of bad blood that's been spat, but just it's getting a bit embarrassing now. Malignaggi's defending everything, and it just sounds bitter, doesn't it?
What did you think, Trent? Did you think it was a knockdown?
If I had to say either way, then yes, but not a clean one. I think there was a push leading up to it. Yeah,
and held his head, didn't he?
Yeah. So I wouldn't be impressed by it, and it's nothing to boast about.
Do you not think? I honestly think it is something to boast about to be able to knock down a former world champion
who's out of shape and there to help you out.
Yeah, there's the morals behind it, getting it posted. But
do you know? I'm just reading something now on the back of the Nevada State, Commission's hearing that they're having at the moment.
Yeah.
Did you know? And I didn't know this. Robert Baird is actually his wife is Adelaide Baird, UFC judge.
He's saying a conflict of interest there.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying that is the fact that they are married.
Right. So, summary, you're saying finishing him in 6 rounds, Chutney?
Yeah.
How many rounds you say?
I think now that it's 8-ounce gloves, I think it's going to be like the Gatti fight, but a little bit later because I think Conor has taken. He can take shins to the chin, so
exactly, yeah.
I think he can take a beating, but later on, 9, maybe 10 rounds,
yeah.
I think it gets retired or the referee stops the fight in Mayweather's decision, the favour.
And then, do we see Conor fighting mixed martial arts by the end of the year? Do you think?
I think he's committed to that, hasn't he? An end of year card. Obviously, nothing confirmed yet, but let's see how this goes. We'll know more after the 26th of August, when Mayweather has beaten him.
You almost said McGregor then as well, didn't you?
No, but I'm not making that mistake.
That brings us to what we will be talking about shortly, I assume, which is the interim title, the lightweight interim title of the UFC. Why would they be having that if they thought McGregor was going to be fighting again this year?
Plus, they think they could just get it in quickly.
Maybe.
I've just been reading as well online. They've actually been having trouble getting a title fight for 216, and that's possibly some of the background why there is an interim fight being thrown. About
bad, isn't
potentially
it?
for this. It was only just before we started recording that Chutney broke this news to us, and I was like, why? If McGregor's coming back end of the year, why do we need this?
Yeah, and to confirm what that news is, Ferguson and Lee, Tony Ferguson and Kevin Lee, are supposed to be. It's not yet confirmed, but they're in talks for UFC 216 for the interim lightweight title.
Yep. Also, August 26th in the T-Mobile Arena, as well as probably a bit of a mismatch in the main event. We've got some fantastic fights on the undercard. Do you want to tell us about the first one of interest you're looking forward to see?
Yeah, so the chief support is Floyd Mayweather's protege.
Yep.
Which is a young man named Gervonta Davis.
Yep.
So Gervonta, he fights at the super featherweight division, and he's fighting Francisco Fonseca. Said that better than Borrachino, didn't I?
Very impressive. Is he undefeated, Mayweather's boy?
Yeah, he's currently undefeated. 18 wins, 17 knockouts, no losses. And he'll be defending his IBF junior lightweight title. You might remember he fought in London in May against Liam Walsh.
Yep.
You might remember him for his entrance where he come out dressed as Wacko.
Shout
out to Michael Jackson.
God bless.
But yeah, he demolished Liam Walsh in 3 rounds, TKO'd him.
Yeah.
But he's an up and comer. Mayweather stuck him under his wing. It's good to see a lad from Baltimore, killing it. But just a side note on that one. Any Wire fans out there? I know you're a big fan, Dennis, of the Wire. You might remember Cutty, who was the guy who came out of prison, and he was the boxing coach.
I do, yeah.
That's based on Gervonta Davis's trainer.
Oh right.
And he's actually called Cutty as well.
Oh, nice fact.
Yeah, good knowledge, right?
Calvin Ford's his name, and the character Dennis Cutty Wise was based on him.
I liked it because he was called Dennis.
There you go,
yeah.
Dennis a minute.
Chutney, your big Welsh boy's fighting on the card as well, isn't he?
My big Welsh boy.
That's
yeah,
what you
Nathan
said earlier.
Cleverly.
Wow.
He is done well for himself getting on that card. Iz and I were discussing before. I think he's got a point to make on that. Fighting Badu Jack.
Yep.
Another one of Mayweather's boys.
Oh right.
Done well to get that. It's going to be huge number of viewers on there. So Nathan Cleverly, after having a bit of a bad time, is making a nice little comeback in the light heavyweight division.
Yeah, he's been messed around a little bit because the person who won the WBA, I think it's regular title off, Brahma, he had a rematch clause in his contract, so it was a case of waiting for that, and at the last minute, Brahma has joined the World Boxing Series super middleweight tournament, so that left Cleverly in limbo. Obviously, Brahma's not holding him to that rematch clause to go into the tournament, and that freed up Badu Jack, who's stepping up in weight. The former WBC champion at the weight below. He's moving up, and I think Team Mayweather are expecting an easy night in terms of this will just be a routine. Badu Jack win, and he's going to win the title. But Nathan Cleverly, I think this is the stage that he should be at. There's been years and years where he's been that guy who Bellew fought with and everything, but this is the world stage he should be at. The mathematics, degree that he's got is not what he should be relying on. He should be relying on his world title picture.
Them fights with Bellew were good.
They were good.
I'd forgotten about
I was surprised.
I
was surprised by Cleverly's performance. I thought he had a lot more in him. I think he messed about too much.
Yeah, when Bellew. Just a separate point, you've seen Bellew and Bisping have been arguing today.
I've not even had a look at it.
Yeah, no, I just saw the headline.
I've had enough of these, really have, and especially when it comes to those two massive whoppers. Shout out to Bisping if you want to come on the show.
Yeah, no problem. Just come head to Manchester, no problem.
Take a look at Badu Jack now, actually, on the old Wikipedia.
Yeah.
A couple of things. He's had some good wins.
He's
George Groves, Lucien Bute.
Oh, he's beaten Groves.
Pretty brutal draw with James DeGale,
which I thought he won.
Yeah,
and then there was a lot of controversy behind it when DeGale wanted to show everyone his missing teeth. I don't know why he wanted to show him that after the fight.
Right.
Look, he's knocked my teeth out. He knocked my teeth out. That's not Chris Eubank.
That's
DeGale with his tooth missing. Badu Jack is a high caliber fighter.
Yep.
So, and he's fought at that high end. But it's the stepping up in weight, it brings its own challenges, if you like. So let's see what happens. Good luck to you, Nathan Cleverly.
And
Team Clev.
on a night of talking about very interesting facts, Badu Jack was born the day after me.
Was he?
So, no, not my Welsh guy.
Yeah.
Got Badu Jack's back.
Wow. Big call. He changed his allegiances during
pretty easily.
Anyone else on that card takes of note is?
Well, there's a few guys to shout up names-wise, if you don't mind me, Dennis.
Yep.
There's Andrew Tabiti. He's another one of Mayweather's guys, so obviously you can see it's a Mayweather stacked card.
Always going to be the case, wasn't it? Yep.
But a heavily stacked card for boxing fans.
Yep.
He's thrown Tabiti in there, who's an up-and-coming cruiserweight, and he's probably his hardest challenge yet, which is fighting the veteran Steve Cunningham. It's a really good fight for the boxing fans. It's good to see a barometer where Tabiti's at, in his career.
Yep.
And Steve Cunningham, he's been in there with the likes of Tyson Fury, up at heavyweight, so he's coming back down to cruiserweight to fight Tabiti. Good fight. Sean Porter is also on the card, fighting Thomas Dullamar. That's the headline fight of the Fox broadcast.
So they're showing that on Fox.
They're showing that on Fox. All the other fights will be on the pay-per-view card, but that will headline the Fox card. And Sean Porter, just funnily enough, 2 days ago, was won the NAC's Nevada's Fighter of the Year.
Right.
And some would say, he's only had one fight in that year, a bit of a war, but he's the nice guy of boxing. Everybody loves him. So maybe that's why. Maybe he was in attendance, and that's why they gave it him. I can name a few, Lomachenko, top of my head, that I would have given it to. And then just two other shout outs. Savannah Marshall from the UK is making her pro debut. An amateur who beat Clarissa Shields in the amateurs, who's killing it at the moment. American former amateur who's now pro. Savannah's a British team Mayweather fighter.
Right.
So he's picked her up, and he announced her on the undercard of that he'd picked her up on the undercard of Gervonta Davis, Liam Walsh. And then finally, just a shout out to my man Kevin Newman, another TMT fighter who's on the card and is one of my good friends on Twitter. Shout out Kevin Newman.
One of my good friends. Nice. I think all our listeners want to know, when it comes around to it's only £20, is it, on pay-per-view?
We're blessed, if you like, in this country, because we've got it for £20, $25 if you obviously leave it till the night.
Apart from the time it's going to be. Johnny, will you be awake or asleep? Will you get up early Sunday morning?
I think I mentioned last time, I can't do that anymore. I'll be getting up.
Even for the biggest fight of the millennium?
Well, physics is physics.
I think the undercard has made me want to, stay up.
You better book Monday off if you're going to stay up.
Well, it's bank holiday Monday, isn't it? So shout out to all the British fans. We've got a bank holiday that week, so I'll be
much needed.
I'll be okay.
It's interesting business from Mayweather. Often on these massive pay-per-views, you'll have the main event, and then the rest will just be nobodies.
Yeah.
Often, not always. But he has packed it with his own fighters, who he'll be paying out of his own pocket. But then he gets the money back because it's his promotion company. I mean, there's talk of 100 million each, but everyone knows that Mayweather's going to make so much more. I mean, double plus. It's
crazy.
It's
He's
stupid.
Very clever businessman. Very clever.
And just to bring that full circle, we're just waiting on the other promotion partners. Obviously, we know Mayweather's promoting it. We know McGregor, but UFC have also submitted a request to co-promote. I
believe so. Yeah.
The fight. So, hopefully we'll get that news before we finish. But if not, keep your eyes on our Twitter feeds.
Absolutely. Yeah. FTAB News, or at FTAB News, I should say. You can down with the kids.
Yeah. At Chutney News, I should have said before. If you want news from me.
Cool.
GSP's going to be at the fight.
Yes, I believe so.
He said. Part of his promotion of his fight with Bisping.
Yep. So it's all the big names will be there. I've booked my table at Hooters in Nashville.
Nice, have you?
Yep.
Shout out to Hooters.
Chicken burgers and Hooters, absolute gold.
Yeah, I haven't told the other half that's where we'll be watching it, so we'll be watching it there, I'm afraid. Nice. More boxing. Fight coming up this weekend, I believe. Crawford versus Indongo. What are you saying about that? Both unbeaten fighters, I believe.
They are.
Yep.
They are. Both undefeated. Someone's going to hopefully lose that if we get a result out of it. Old T Craw. More belts on the line than Savile Row Taylors.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow, that stinks.
Both beating Ricky Burns.
Yeah.
I think they've got one or two others in common. Crawford's record is much more impressive, though. And Indongo only turned pro 8 years ago, and he's 34 years old. And it's his first fight in the US. Or maybe second, but most of them in Africa.
Yeah, I believe so. I'd barely heard of him.
He's no
if
bum.
I'm honest, but what do you think?
Yeah, well, on the back of Indongo, I'd not heard of him myself. Researched him a little bit before the Ricky Burns fight, and then watched him, and he annihilated Ricky Burns. It was hard to give Ricky Burns, who we all love, nicest Glaswegian, boxer I've ever met. But it was hard to watch the beating that Indongo put on him, and rightfully so. This is for all the belts, if you like.
Yep.
Terence Crawford, 2-weight world champion. Current WBC, WBO, Ring Magazine, and lineal light welterweight champion against Indongo, who holds, the WBA belt, the IBF belt, and the IBO, light welterweight belts. It's amazing, these fights don't seem to happen, where two guys who hold all the belts will, decide who the lineal undisputed champion is within the weight division. So
that's a great point.
It's a great fight to have. We have all these politics of, this guy's with Top Rank, this guy's with Golden Boy, this guy's with Mayweather Promotions, and they never fight each other. So it's great to see it, and maybe that's because of the mystery that comes with Indongo, that he's come out of the blue, if you like. He's a little bit unheard of, but I can't wait, and it's interesting to see what happens next after that fight as well. Who's next for them? If you want to shout them up and everything.
Cool. Chutney, what's your prediction for that fight?
Stoppage by Crawford. Certainly Crawford to win.
Yep.
I say it out loud, and I'm not sure about the stoppage, especially
Said it now.
after Iz has been bigging up what beast Indongo is. But yeah, it scared me. But yeah, certainly Crawford, more experienced, home turf. Yeah, I don't think it'd be too difficult for him.
Is?
I think, obviously Terence has been doing the McGregor training.
Yep.
So, that's going to help him.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I don't know if it's going to help him to a stoppage. I think I'm going to go with the decision.
For Crawford.
Yep. For Crawford, sorry. Just because, they're both bringing in, O records. They don't know what the canvas tastes like.
Yep.
It's going to be a great fight to watch. And then I can't wait for, the next guys that are, potentially being lined up. What about you, Dennis? Have you got a pick
I'm
for
going to go for the underdog here, because I've never really heard of him, but he sounds like he's a bit of a beast going off what he's saying. I've seen bits of the fight versus Burns, so yeah, I'm going to go Indongo.
I mean, he's toured his way through Africa, to be fair to the guy.
So much respect to him, I'd say, and I think he's definitely going to win.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I think bottom line is, Terence Crawford's already on the pound for pound list, number 4. You're definitely going to see the winner of this fight on the pound for pound list, and potentially challenging Lomachenko, Mickey Garcia, even Mikey Garcia, I beg your pardon. These guys are out there. Cool. It's exciting times.
So listeners, we're going to take a few moments now to discuss one of the greatest heavyweights of all time, debatably, and I don't mean me or Chutney. I mean Dr. Steelhammer, who's recently officially retired since we last did our podcast. Chutney, I know you're a big fan.
I am.
Tell me about his legacy. What do you think he's left behind?
He's left behind 11 years of not being beaten by anyone, making the best heavyweight fighters in the world. Yes, the standard might not have been so high then, but 11 years making them look rubbish.
Yeah.
Real power, athleticism, looked the part, had the girlfriend, terrible personality.
Sounds like one of your heroes. Is.
Go on.
I mean, sorry, I should say he sounds like your hero, just generally. Terrible personality.
Incredible what he did. Absolutely incredible. Being Ukrainian as well. My dad born in Ukraine.
Absolutely.
Made me follow him for a long time.
Shout out to the Ukraine.
Shout out to the Ukraine. Free the East. yeah, it's incredibly impressive what he's done over that time. Really impressive. And that Joshua fight, I think it was the perfect end.
Yeah, it
really.
was great, wasn't it?
What a great fight.
Yep.
Credit to him passing the torch over.
Yep.
Lovey tweets to him afterwards saying as much. That retirement video that he did, bit cringy. I mean, I'm not really sure what he was trying to say. I'm not even sure if he actually said I'm retiring. No. He just said I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. This is what I do. But
I think it was a great touch that he didn't come back for the money for another fight. I thought that was good. I know you may have differing views in regards to his record and his performances.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and criticize Klitschko's record because he's dominated for so long, but he's dominated in a very weak heavyweight, division. There's not been any standout fighters.
Yep.
David Haye was a pumped up cruiserweight at the time. He was the mouth that got the fight. And it's a shame that the Tyson Furies and the Joshuas came so late in Klitschko's career.
Yeah.
He froze in that Fury fight, and shout out to Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury got into his head, but then you've got to ask yourself, I don't want to badmouth him too much, but, when they discovered all the extra foam in the ring, when the Furies, checked it, earlier in the day, and, how Klitschko had shrunk from the weigh-ins to when he got in the ring. What was he wearing, Hollywood heels or something like Tom Cruise or whatever. These things you've got to ask yourself over that career. There's fighters there who probably never questioned any of these things and these small advantages, which people like Mayweather and the top end,
they all do it.
They all take
fight
it,
in their own backyard. And
who did you have before that fight?
What's that? Sorry.
Fury, Klitschko. Who did you have? Who did you fancy for it?
Oh, I'm Team Fury all day.
Did you think he'd win?
Tyson Fury and Mancunian, was
But did you think he'd win?
Yeah, that's not the question.
Because I didn't think he would.
I think he rattled Klitschko, and I never. You can go back to it, and I never supported Klitschko. So because of my bias, I always wanted people to beat him.
Yep.
So when
or
Tyson
lack
Fury,
of bias towards him, even.
Pardon?
Or lack of bias towards Klitschko.
Yeah.
So you didn't think you could destroy anyone?
Yeah, I didn't, and therefore, when a Mancunian lad was stepping up, for a world challenge, I was always going to support Tyson Fury. So, Team Fury, and even I don't know where I stand. Should Tyson ever return, which is looking more and more unlikely every day.
Yeah, I've seen him recently.
I think I don't know. It's a lot of time off, but potentially I'd back him against Joshua because I'm Team Fury.
Wow.
So Trinity, I should say, top 10, 15 heavyweights of all time?
Definitely top 15.
Yep.
I know there's been a lot of discussion over this. There are other fighters who were almost equally impressive, maybe in different ways, Tyson being one of them, but not necessarily fighting the best fighters, Tyson being one of them, until they did fight them and not done so well, which is a similar trajectory to Klitschko.
Quite a compelling argument there, Johnny. While we're shining a light on boxing in this episode, gents, there's a matchroom card coming up. I think it's on the 1st of September. I know there's a couple of fighters on there you'd like to mention.
Yeah, so it's one of these next generation cards.
Yep.
Eddie Hearn, he's killing it at the moment. He's probably reinvigorated British boxing, and now he's looking, tomorrow past the Crawlers, the Crawler nights and the Ricky Burns nights and even past the Joshua nights to the future.
Yep.
And he's scouted a lot of the young amateurs, from Britain that we had, and he's putting on these next generation cards, for guys who are just making their first pro fights or first, second, third, under 10 fights each. So we've got, bronze medalists in the Olympics. Joshua Buatsi's on there, making his second fight, and I don't know if any of you have seen any interviews with Joshua, but Joshua Buatsi, that is, he's got a good head on his shoulders.
Yep.
He understands the game. He won his first fight, and there was no fanfare. It was just straight back to the office tomorrow, and back to work, back on it. We've got Brown Sauce on there, Lawrence Okolie. He's knocking out cruiserweights left, right, and centre.
Brown Sauce, yeah.
Brown Sauce is his
gold.
nickname.
That's an incredible nickname.
He's knocking out cruiserweights left, right, and centre. Shout out to our own cruiserweight from Manchester, Jordan Thompson. I'd love to see them two fight in the future.
Yep.
But yeah, Lawrence Okolie's on there. We've got Joe Cordina. These amateurs are really making small strides, but making little names for themselves, and these next generation cards will help them. And then we've also got two guys who are past probably the making a name for themselves stage and just looking to step up. So we've got Conor Benn on the card, Nigel Benn's son.
Yep.
And also coming off an impressive win, Ted Cheeseman, who's on the card as well. So look out for them two guys. But I'm excited for the card on 1st of September.
Sounds like Matchroom's the place to be at the moment. Got to keep our eye on them, definitely. Trent, I know you've been speaking to one of our avid fans about boxes and Matchroom.
Yeah, shout out to Jimmy Logan, aka J-Lo, asking for a bit of Katie Taylor news, or just a mention of her on the podcast, which is fair enough. She's doesn't seem to have much announced at the moment, but another Matchroom star coming out of the Olympics, similar to Wetzy.
Yep.
Yeah, shout out to her. Welcome on the show anytime.
Yeah, and any requests from listeners, you want us to discuss any boxers, any MMA fighters, let us know. We're more than willing to throw our opinion in the hat.
At FTAB News, at Chutney News, at MMA Boxing _
I'll shout up Katie Taylor as well while we're discussing her, just to give some background. So, she's a gold medalist at Olympic level in the amateurs.
Yep.
And again, Eddie Hearn was very quick to snap her up, sign her up, get her signed. He's also he's conducted a bit of a masterstroke. He's signed up Natasha Jonas as well, who Katie Taylor fought at amateurs and beat. She was the big British hope, if you like. So it's probably they're both on a they'll fast track Natasha a little bit, and they'll probably cross paths at some time. But Katie, she's demolishing every girl they put in front of her.
Yep. Whether
it's in Manchester, whether it's across the pond in New York at the Barclays Centre on the undercard of Broner and Garcia. It's very impressive, and I think within 3 fights we'll probably see her challenging for a ladies' world title.
Absolutely. Thanks for the inside track there.
No problem.
Gents, any more news, any discussions you want to bring up before we say our goodbyes?
Well, it's a bit of MMA news we can get on to. Frank Mir has gone to Bellator.
Oh, was he signed?
UFC released him. Let's hope he doesn't eat any of that juiced up kangaroo.
Kangaroo, wasn't it? They messed him up.
So, yeah, good luck to him. They're building up a bit of a Legends heavyweight division, Roy Nelson and whoever else in there.
Congo.
He'll do all right. Fedor's there. Who knows?
Oh. Mitrione as well.
Mitrione.
Yeah.
I don't think they've got a champ, do they? They've not had a championship fight. Heavyweight champ.
Who was the Russian fella? They had a Russian fella, didn't they, at Bellator, who was
champion.
Maybe a previous champion under the
old regime.
Scott Coker regime, but
I think they've just been putting name fights together rather than actually trying to build a championship at the moment.
It's almost a fantasy league.
Yeah, you're right.
Fedor versus Mitrione, he was a UFC name versus Pride name, so interesting.
Then there's what I talked about earlier. They've, in proper talks, Tony Ferguson and Kevin Lee for UFC 216 for an interim lightweight title. Now, had a look at the old dates on this. Conor won the belt 12th of November last year.
Yeah.
This new event is in early October, 7th of October. So less than a year.
And they're putting that on.
And they're putting on an interim. Too early, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
That's the first thing to say. But I don't have that much of a problem with interim titles in the UFC at the moment. The reason being, and I think, again, I've mentioned it on the show before, is that it gives you a contender.
Yep. For
the title. So when he's back in, you know. Well, you hope you know as much as you can.
And that's what
who that's going to be.
That's what they're going to do with Whittaker, isn't it? And GSP and Bisping.
Exactly, yeah. And then the second thing is Khabib. Seems he's out of favour.
Yep.
Too much tiramisu. Thank God the Tony Ferguson tiramisu tweets are going to stop now.
Yeah.
Because that is boring.
It is, isn't it?
And
I saw them.
He capitalises every single word in his tweets. Infuriates me.
And the shame about that interim thing about Kevin Lee and Ferguson is all the talk about the interim thing is probably take the shine off what will be a pretty sweet fight, I'd imagine, because them two will just go at it.
Well,
So
I think it adds shine. Bit of gold at the end.
I just think people think it's a bit meaningless.
Maybe. Well, I don't know. I think if there is gold at the end, you're likely to get more viewers, which means more money for them. Well, hopefully more money for them, depending on what their deal is.
If it elevates it to main event, I suppose it does get more eyes to it. So, anything from you before we sign out?
Just to bring it full circle, couple of fights to shout up. That September weekend that the Matchroom card is on. Margarito is fighting an old adversary of Kell Brook, Carson Jones.
Okay.
In Chihuahua, Mexico. Margarito, the cheat who had plaster in his gloves.
Surprised he's still fighting.
I think he's going to be fighting in Mexico from now on, as opposed to anywhere else.
Forever.
But then also on the same night as Mayweather McGregor, maybe a mistake on their part. Maybe they should have waited before announcing it. Is Miguel Cotto, which was announced before Mayweather McGregor, but maybe they knew the dates were coming. Is Miguel Cotto versus Yoshihiro Kamagai. Forgive me if I've mispronounced that, but that's for the vacant WBO junior or light middleweight.
And that's the
title.
same night as Mayweather.
Same night, they're going head to head. I don't know whose ego needs squashing there, but shout out to Miguel Cotto, a legend of the sport. Hopefully, he can pick that title up.
Cool. Right then, gents, it's been an absolute pleasure. We've got to say thank you to Second Hand Guns, who played us in and will be playing us out shortly. And it's just about that time that we just say, for those about to brawl, we salute you.